ॐ विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यस्साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् Om. So we have completed the 8th chapter of Pancadasi, and we saw summary also. So we will have to begin chapter 9. It's a relatively bigger chapter, and it has 156 verses. And here Vidyaranya deals with a very unique topic, which topic is not there in any text. And dealing with the universal problem of student. And the problem is, even though the knowledge has taken place, yet he doesn't accept that he has a jnana, he has a knowledge. And generally what happens is, if a student, if studies Vedanta properly is equal to a systematic study and that systematic study for a long time. That's called proper study. And in a systematic study, definitely it involves a studying the text word by word, understanding the words used in a verses or mantras, whatever it is. Understanding them in a context, proper context, generated by the teacher. The student doesn't understand. Student takes it, generally words are known to you. But if words are known to you, those words are used. Naturally, a teacher has to use the known words. Teacher cannot use unknown words to impart the knowledge. He has to use the known words. Then only communication takes place. But with the known words, you have to understand something which you don't know. Known words means meaning is known to you. But no. With the known words, you have to know something which is unknown to you. And therefore, the teacher has to create a context in which you give up the known meanings, which is, the known to you, those known meanings you give up, and you understand something which he really intends to know. He intends to be known by you. And so that is called tradition, a method of communication in which the known words are used, but he creates a context and by which you will come to know what is unknown to you. Then only, otherwise a known word, known meaning, then why should you attend a class? He is using all words, satyam, oh, truth, oh. So today in a Pancadasi class, this Swami M said Satyam. Atma is Satyam. I know Satyam is truth. Jnanam. No one can say I don't know the word Jnanam. Knowledge. I know. Anantam. Well, I know. Limitless. So words are known. But still, it should, all the three actually should resolve into a understanding of a one thing which you don't know. You are Satyam, you are Jnanam, you are Anantam. No, that I don't know. Yes. So he imparts the meaning of the, these words, which is really not known to you. That is called tradition. Tradition means a method of communicating. Sampradaya we call a method of communication. And in method of communication, definitely a teacher creates a context in which you drop the meaning of the words which you are already knowing. Those meanings you have to drop and take this meaning which you really don't know. So this is how communication takes place. Anyway, so what happens is a student basically studies Vedanta for some time. And as I told you, it's a systematic study, word by word, verse by verse, mantra by mantra. Also, along with the commentaries, you study, and you study for a length of time. Length of time. That length has a length. I'm telling you. The length has a length. And then definitely knowledge takes place. A clear understanding takes place with the help of this teaching. And if there is some vagueness, suppose you study one text like this, I mean systematically, and for a length of time, still there is a vagueness, suppose. Then you study another text. Then you study another text. So different Vedantic texts are studied, then definitely that can help you to remove the vagueness, because that any author, Vedantic author, I mean, he has composed this text, and then his approach to the subject matter itself is very unique. Like in Pancadasi, we already saw in the previous chapters that Vidyaranya Swami has a very unique approach. And that unique approach to the subject matter definitely helps you. It's a one angle. Then another Vedantic text is there, written by another author. He has a different approach. Third one has a different approach. So you see the same thing from different angles. And then definitely your vagueness drops. You gain a clarity. So that is how one should, even though we say, well, Mandukyam eva alam, moksha prapta e Mandukyam eva alam. For gaining moksha, just study Mandukya. Forget every other thing and all this. It's for saying. It's just to praise actually. We should know this Arthavada, the Stuti in these Vedantic classes is, one should not take it literally. Because it is meant for extolling something. It doesn't mean that we have to literally follow that. Because, well, I have studied Mandukya, and now, Mandukya Mevalam, it is enough. And therefore, I don't want to study any Upanishad, any Vedantic text, Bhagavad Gita, no, Brahma Sutra, no, I don't want to study. No, the vagueness will continue, even after studying Mandukya. Believe my words. And therefore, one should study different text. One should be always enthusiastic to study different text, which will help you to remove your vagueness, because different approaches to the same subject matter is there. So anyway, so basically this self-knowledge takes place. Self-knowledge means Brahmajnana. Now I would really, before I go into this, because it is pertaining to this Jnanam, so we should first ask a question, well, how to know Brahman? That itself is to be understood thoroughly. Then we'll address the issues pertaining to this Brahmajnana. First is, what is this Brahmajnana? How to know Brahman? We can ask this question. So, Shastra basically does not reveal the existence of unknown Brahman. The Brahman is revealed as I, and I is known, is known without any means of knowledge. With the help of your eyes, basically you see the colors and forms. You know the colors and forms. But before even you operate your eyes, the way I is there. The existence of I is there. Existence of I is known to you. Before you operate your ears to hear, to know the various sounds, well, I is there. Therefore, the existence of I, the knowledge of existence of I is known to you, with no means of knowledge required. Neither mind even. Before you start thinking I is there, even if you don't think I is there, it's not that I think and therefore I am. It's because I am and therefore I think. And therefore I, the knowledge of I is basically is all the time there. That's how we say I is self-revealing. It doesn't require any means of knowledge to reveal. And therefore it is self-existent also. Once something is revealed to you, then you say it is. A particular form, if clip is, when you say, well, Swamiji, I know the clip. Clip is revealed to me. Therefore I say clip is. So any existence is, well, dependent upon the revelation. So what is self-revealing is self-existent also. World is revealed to you through the means of knowledge, and therefore you say world is, colors and forms are, sounds are, etc., etc. But I is self-revealing, and I is self-existent. And therefore existence, and that I is equated as Brahman. So Shastra does not reveal the existence of unknown Brahman. Now you can understand. Shastra does not reveal the existence of unknown I. That I happens to be Brahman, which I don't know. So it only corrects, we should say, it only corrects the mistake about the self-revealing I, Atma, which is subject to all limitations, which is an error, of course. Anyway, and so Shruti tells this Brahman is recognized right now in every cognition. There is no other way of knowing Brahman other than recognizing its presence in every cognition. Other than that, there is no way of knowing Brahman. And that's how I want to discuss this nature of Brahmajnanam. Then we'll discuss the issues which are addressed by Vidyaranya Swami in this chapter. So, we have a various cognitions. We call knowledge, qualified knowledge. Like, when there is a pot, there is a pot cognition, pot knowledge. And then there is a book, so book knowledge. When there is a flower, there is a flower knowledge. So, in every cognition, in every piece of knowledge, an unknown object becomes a known object to you, naturally. So, flower knowledge takes place, means unknown flower has become known flower now. So, the factor that distinguishes the knowledge of one object from the other is the object itself. Like pot knowledge, book knowledge, different. What is the factor responsible to differentiate two pieces of knowledge? The object itself, right? Pot and book are different. Therefore, pot knowledge and book knowledge are different. So, same way, so like that, so pot knowledge, book knowledge, pen knowledge, car knowledge, same way, knowledge of Brahman, right? Brahman knowledge. So if that is the case, so pot knowledge makes me, with the help of pot knowledge, unknown pot becomes known pot. With the help of a book knowledge, the unknown book becomes a known book. With the help of a car knowledge, definitely a car which is unknown becomes known. Same way, Brahmajnanam means unknown Brahman becomes known. So, Brahmajnanam, Like pot knowledge is different from book knowledge is different from car knowledge, and that is, and the responsible factor to distinguish different knowledges is the object itself. Same way you say, I don't know Brahman, therefore Brahman is unknown. And so same way, how Brahman knowledge will be different from pot knowledge or a book knowledge, etc. Well, same way, the way you differentiate pot knowledge and book knowledge, the responsible factor is the pot and the book. Same way, Brahma Jnanam also, well, the unknown Brahman becomes known Brahman, then, well, and it is distinct from the pot knowledge and other knowledge. Well, what the responsible factor between two different knowledges called pot knowledge and Brahma Jnanam, Brahman knowledge, is the object itself. So definitely Brahman, well, is different from this pot. Brahman is different from book. Brahman is different from car. Brahman is different from something else. So Brahman knowledge, by which unknown Brahman becomes known. Pot knowledge, unknown pot becomes known. Car knowledge, unknown car becomes known. Brahman knowledge, unknown Brahman becomes known. And pot is different from book, book is different from car. Same way, Brahman is also different from pot, car, book, etc. This is the beginning of all the errors. This is the point. If this continues, there is no scope that one will ever know Brahman. This is the beginning of all the mistakes which will follow later. What is this Brahma Jnanam? Is it like a pot Jnanam, car Jnanam, something like that? If it is really like that, that Brahma Jnanam is also different from pot Jnanam, etc., etc., then, well, definitely, well, if it is different, the pieces of knowledge are different, then it is because of the difference in the object. Could you follow what I am saying? And therefore, Brahman also must be different from pot, car and everything. Swamiji, that is not the case. Then definitely we will have to gain this knowledge of Brahman a little differently. We have to know it a little differently. So if unknown Brahman also has to become known through this process of knowledge, like the way pot knowledge, etc. takes place, then, well, definitely it is, if Brahman also will be different from different objects, I mean. So, and not only that, like the pot knowledge takes place at a time t1, that goes away, that cognition goes away. Then car knowledge takes place, car cognition will be there at time t2. Then the book knowledge takes place at time t3. Same way, Brahman knowledge also takes place at a given time. And then there should be definitely an object, well, for the word Brahman, that distinguishes Brahman from all other objects, naturally. But it is said in the Shastra that Brahman is that which basically one does not objectify by the mind, by which the mind is objectified, the mind is known. Brahman is that basically which does not objectify or does not get objectified by the mind, but because of which the mind itself is objectified, the thought itself is objectified. Means at the same time, while it is recognized in Brahman is recognized in every cognition. Therefore, Brahman is not a given object in a given cognition. Like in a pot cognition, pot knowledge, pot is an object. Car knowledge, well, car is an object. Car cognition, car is. It's not like that. Brahman is basically recognized in every cognition, means you do not require a particular process of knowledge involving a subject-object relationship. In part knowledge, definitely, you are the knower of the part, subject, and part is an object of knowledge, and there is a process by which the knowledge of part takes place. We know the process as such. It has been, we have studied it in a previous chapters also. If you want to say, first the given object is there, and mind basically takes a form. The mind, which is subtle, takes a form of this object. So the whole mind doesn't go out. Mind, a part of mind, like a thought, just goes out, like a torch is right there in your hand. Just beams, a particular beam goes out and illumine the object in front of you. Similarly, the whole mind doesn't go out. Mind remains here, but a thought, like a beam, goes out and assumes the form of this object, because mind is subtle, so it assumes the form of this object. And while consciousness present in the thought illumines the object, and that is how you have a clip knowledge. So, while clip thought plus consciousness, we call clip knowledge, clip cognition. So now then there is another clip, suppose. Then again, mind assumes a form of this object. We call it thought. So this is another clip, number 2, thought, clip thought again. And then consciousness illumines it. So basically what happens is, in every cognition, one recognizes the presence of the knowledge or consciousness all the time. So basically one does not objectify the Brahman of a given thought process, no. Of a given cognition, no. But in every cognition, the invariable presence of consciousness is there. If you recognize this, the invariable presence of consciousness in a flow of cognitions spread over all the 2 states of experiences called waking and dream. And even in deep sleep also there is a cognition that I will talk to you later. But this is how one should understand. So you do not require a particular process, like the mind assumes a form of a object. Like that, mind assumes a form of a Brahman, and the consciousness present in the thought illumines the Brahman. No. Could you follow? So there is no question of knowing Brahman by objectifying. You know the part by objectifying a thought form and consciousness. Then you know the chair. Well, unknown chair becomes known by process called assumes a form of a chair. Mind assumes a form of a chair we call chair thought, and consciousness illumines it. Then there is the unknown pen becomes known to you by this process. Same way Brahma Jnanam means mind assumes a form of a Brahman, and consciousness present in the thought illumines the Brahman. No. In fact, you recognize the consciousness present in the pen knowledge, in the chair knowledge, and book knowledge, invariably present. This is the only way to know Brahman. There is no way out. There is no way out to know Brahman as the self, other than the invariable presence in all the cognitions. The very cognition, and we'll see further, and how the consciousness is present, etc. also we'll see. So basically, The uncommon factor in every cognition is an object, and the common factor in every cognition is knowledge, consciousness, Brahman. So, um, because Brahman is manifest in and through every piece of knowledge as its very content, it is knowledge, we can say, jnanam, consciousness, it is knowledge as such unqualified. That unqualified knowledge has an object becomes qualified. Our all cognitions are qualified knowledge. Like pot cognition means what? Pot knowledge means there is an object pot and there is a knowledge. Then pen cognition means what? Pen knowledge. So pen object and again knowledge. So that knowledge is a common factor. Cognitions are different. Pot cognition, chair cognition, this cognition, book cognition. But the differences is due to the objects. But the knowledge is all the time common. And in every piece of knowledge, the knowledge which we call consciousness is manifest in and through. Why in and through, etc. I am saying purposely, I will talk to you. So it is knowledge as such unqualified which we call consciousness. And now second thing, what about this conscious dimension of consciousness, etc., etc., that also will say. See, there is no division in terms of space, means spatial division, no time-wise division, not nature-wise division between consciousness obtaining in a given form of knowledge and consciousness obtaining in another form of knowledge, another piece of knowledge. No difference, no special difference. It is like, space, which is not divided by the various objects in the space. Space remaining the same. Objects come and go in space. Exactly like this knowledge or the consciousness, while obtaining in a given piece of knowledge, we call, let's say the pot appears in the consciousness. Pot resolves, pot goes away. Now chair appears in the consciousness. Chair appears means in the form of a thought. Chair appears in the form of a thought, illumined by the consciousness. Resolves. Consciousness remains as such and it doesn't go away at any time. Exactly like space. So various objects come and go. They don't divide consciousness. It's not that the pot knowledge has gone, means knowledge has gone. Swamiji, pot knowledge has gone, now you say chair knowledge. There is a division in terms of a space. No. Knowledge remains very much there. Pot, chair, etc., they do appear in consciousness in form of various thoughts, non-separate from the consciousness. And therefore, consciousness always is. To say that Swamiji, consciousness also has gone, you need consciousness. Yeah. You say, Swamiji, consciousness has gone. With pot knowledge, pot consciousness has gone. And now chair consciousness is appearing. So in between there is no consciousness. How do you know? How do you know? How do you know the absence of consciousness between two pieces of knowledge? How do you know? I know, Swamiji. I am very much there to know the absence of consciousness. What is that I? Consciousness ever is. All different objects do appear and go away in consciousness, exactly like various objects appear in space and go away. Space always is. Those objects cannot divide the space. Same way, various objects which appear in consciousness in form of thought, various thoughts, cannot divide the consciousness. So there is no special distance division between two pieces of knowledge, two pieces of cognitions. There is no division in terms of time, because consciousness ever is. Therefore, well, even though we say consciousness is associated with the part, we call part cognition, part knowledge, and then there is a chair cognition, even though that those divisions are there, that is due to the division in the objects, but the consciousness which illumines them has no division. The consciousness ever is, in which various objects appear and resolve, like the various objects appear in the space and resolve. So definitely consciousness is all the time associated with different objects. So there is no special division in one piece of knowledge, cognition, and the other piece of knowledge. And well, no division in terms of time, no division in terms of, I mean the nature wise also there is no difference. The consciousness appearing in a part cognition and consciousness which is present, not appearing, consciousness which is present in the part cognition and consciousness present in the chair cognition, nature wise there is no difference. Time wise, no difference. Space wise, no difference. No difference. To determine there is a space-wise difference between a piece of cognition and the other piece of cognition, the consciousness present in the one piece of cognition and consciousness present in the second piece of cognition, there is a space-wise difference. To determine that, you need consciousness. So please understand this. Consciousness always is. It does not come into existence in time. Part cognition, definitely. Part consciousness, qualified consciousness, definitely comes in time. Chair cognition or chair consciousness, chair knowledge, definitely. That qualified consciousness comes in time. But the consciousness, never. The unqualified knowledge, in fact unqualified knowledge is consciousness. That's it. Anyway, so it doesn't come into existence in time. So when will I come to know consciousness? When will I come to know Brahman? Has no validity. All the people are waiting. Our own seekers, they are listening to the Shastra, they are waiting for experiencing consciousness sometime in the future. So when will I come to know consciousness has no validity, because consciousness does not go away at any time. A qualified consciousness, cognitions go away. Part cognition goes away. The chair cognition comes, appears, goes away. The pen cognition comes, goes away. Because the thought, definitely, because it has a factor, thought is there, part thought is there. That is just a kshanikam, momentary. So part thought appears in consciousness, goes away. Chair thought appears in consciousness, goes away. So definitely cognitions in which there is a variable component and there is a invariable component. And that invariable component is this consciousness, which is free from division in terms of space, in terms of time. Yes, part cognition is limited in terms of space, naturally. It appears at a given time, time-wise limitation. And part cognition, nature-wise different than the chair cognition, which appears later, suppose. And so it is at a given time. It is a limited in terms of space, naturally. And it is appearing at a given time. And it is different in nature from the part cognition. Chair cognition is naturally different. But the consciousness present in all the three, or the two, is not divided in terms of space or time or the nature. Attribute-wise, there is no difference. Consciousness present in the part cognition and consciousness present in the chair cognition is one and the same. Whichever is, it doesn't come into existence in time. Anyway, and this consciousness is the adhishthanam, the basis and the content of any cognition. In this manner only one should recognize oneself. I am consciousness. But why should I claim as a I? I say consciousness is such a free. Divisionless consciousness is. Why should I claim as I? You say. I don't say. You say I am conscious of. Right? You say I am conscious of pot. There is a part. I have a part knowledge. I am conscious of the pot knowledge. I am conscious of this. I am conscious of this. Right now in my mind such and such thought is there, etc. You are conscious of. Therefore you are consciousness. You say I am you are equating consciousness with I. Can you equate that divisionless consciousness to any other thing other than I? Please try. If there is a I in you, it is consciousness. If there is a I in you, it is consciousness. There is no I without consciousness. There is no consciousness without I. I am self-revealing, divisionless consciousness, which is self-existent. This is called Brahmajnana. Still some more we will have to discuss many things in this. So we definitely accept one thing now, that there was a time when one did not know Brahman. That's true. Even though it is the truth of the very knower and the known, both. Knower also is I thought. Known also is this thought. Right? It's ultimately mine. So, I thought or this thought. Well, in both the consciousness is present, and therefore I cognition or this cognition, part cognition, chair cognition, etc. So the consciousness is very much present as the knower and known. Very much present. It is the truth of the knower and the known. But unlike an object, it is not away from you to fall within the scope of your perception. One fine day, well, I will come to know this consciousness, etc. No. So ignorance, well, of such a Brahman, which is the truth of the knower and the known, yes, it is there. But then the remoteness of this Brahman, with the possibility of becoming an object for you to know someday, is not there. I repeat once again. Ignorance of definitely Brahman is there, but the possibility of becoming an object, it is remote, and one day I will come to know. It will become an object of my thought, my mind, and then I will come to know. Such a possibility for Brahmajnanam is not there, or for Brahman is not there. There are things which are away from you, unknown, remote, and when they enter into the mind in the form of a thought, well, and you know it, the status of a particular object from unknown to known takes place, all possible. But same way, I don't know Brahman, because the way I don't know Pan, and therefore someday that remote Brahman will appear before me. It becomes an object of my mind, thought, and well, then definitely I will come to know the Brahman. No, that possibility is not there. Becoming an object for you to know someday, well, it is not there. Even though Brahman has unknown status, and you will know, but still it is unlike an unknown Pan becomes known. It is unlike, not like. Please understand this. Because all the things in the world, all the things, whatever knowledge you have, has taken place only by objectification through your mind. It has to become an object of your thought. Then only you know. Same way, Brahman also is unknown and becomes known by just objectifying through the thought, mind, etc. And if you wait for such a thing, well, that will never happen. And even if you say, well, I know Brahman because I have today come across, then it is definitely not a Brahman. It is definitely not a Brahman. So this Brahma Jnanam is unlike any other piece of knowledge. In fact, in all the pieces of knowledge, what is commonly present is this Brahman. All means all. Means what do you want to say? Well, basically life is a series of cognitions. And in the waking state, well, definitely eyes perceive the color, forms, etc. and so on. So it is cognition, then the sound cognition, and this cognition, taste cognition, tongue, the smell cognition, touch cognition. This is a waking state. All cognitions. And when you dream, well, definitely there is again cognition. When you go to sleep, there is no cognition. Even no particular cognition is also cognition. There is no particular cognition is also cognition. So this is what the life is actually. And and basically there is a knower also, waker. Knower, waker, waking objects knower. And in dream, well, there is a dreamer and the dream objects, etc. are there. So basically, the consciousness is the one which is the truth of this I thought or the I cognition, and the consciousness is one which is the truth of this cognition which takes place in the mind. Mind only is in the form of I thought and this thought. Both the thoughts have the content of both the thoughts, both the cognitions ultimately is this Brahman. So one should know Brahman as the very truth of the knower, waker, dreamer, deep sleeper, and even the objects present in different states. Well, the truth of everything. So, in every cognition, what is invariably present is Brahman. And therefore, well, definitely, the consciousness. And so, so we don't require a special experience to recognize Brahman. We don't require a special cognition like pan-cognition, etc. We don't require a special experience or special cognition to recognize Brahman. It is always in the form of a content of the experience, content of the cognition, the truth of any cognition, truth of any experience. So, Brahman is basically presented in the Shastra. That is why Brahman is presented in the Shastra as Satyam, invariably present, which is never available for negation, which is definitely, which never can get terminated. Even time gets terminated. Even you think of a time, generally time means what? You feel that it is all the time there. You think of a time, well, it is a momentary. Why? Even when you think of a time itself, a fraction of it gets terminated. So Brahman basically is one which is Satyam, means which never gets terminated. And that Brahman, well, is free from any division. Since it does not get terminated, time-wise, space-wise, or attribute-wise, it is ever present. Therefore, Brahman is limitless. The consciousness present in every cognition, which never goes away with any cognition, which is ever present, is definitely cannot get terminated. So time-wise, it is limitless, timeless, and it is ever present. Therefore, not limited to the space. And it is ever present in all the cognitions, free from the attributes of the cognitions. Attributes belong to the object. Consciousness, which illumines the content of the every cognition, is free from attributes also. So attribute wise also it is free from any limitation. So it is consciousness is That way, Satyam as well as Anantam, limitless also. And consciousness means basically it is Jnanam, unqualified knowledge, which is commonly present in all qualified knowledges. Qualified knowledge means part knowledge, means that knowledge is qualified by a part. But what is present is knowledge, consciousness. So Brahman is basically not an object of any thought, naturally, because it is the very content of the thought. So Brahman is not an object of the thought, because the thought itself is Brahman, without which thought does not exist. Brahman is not beyond thought also. When you say it is beyond thought, then beyond is the object of thought. But Swamiji, you said the content of the every cognition, content of the thought, and content of the very I thought, I cognition, content of the this cognition, we don't accept. Why don't we say that there are objects and there is a illuminator of the objects, consciousness, through the thought? Why not? Why will you say like this? Why do you say the very content and truth and everything? Because can you separate any object and consciousness? Please try. Can you make a demarking line or let's say a marking line between object and consciousness? If you can make it, object is independent, consciousness is independent. Thought is independent, given thought of object is independent, and consciousness is independent. Because we generally feel the consciousness illumines, means it is something like a light bulb, and then there are objects which are independent of them. We feel like that. So we give example, it doesn't mean that it is like this. Definitely you can make a boundary between the light bulb and and the object which is illumined by the light bulb. Definitely. And you see that in terms of space. The distance, etc. Here you cannot. The very space value which you think of, that there is a space, it is also pervaded by space consciousness, and therefore consciousness, it will be called space consciousness. Therefore any object or a thought of an object and consciousness, you cannot make a marking line. Try. When you get that, Swamiji, we have separated these two, the thought and consciousness, we have separated. Well, that day we should close Vedanta. Why? Because that consciousness doesn't remain limitless. When something is independent of consciousness, both the things which are independent of each other limit each other. And therefore, the whole thought is in consciousness. Whole thought. You cannot even say, Swamiji, in a given thought, in a one corner there is a consciousness. You cannot. And therefore, in terms of space or time or a given object or a thought of object, the consciousness is basically not limited. Time. That's how I said time-wise, space-wise, or object-wise. Object means attributes actually. Attribute-wise, no. So anyway, so consciousness is not beyond thought. The very thought is consciousness. And when you say it is beyond thought, means beyond is the object of the thought. So there is no such thing as beyond thought at all. Beyond thought is another thought. So thought of the beyond. So that which obtains in every thought cannot be the object of a thought. That which obtains in every thought cannot be the object of the thought. If an object of the thought appears in a given thought, cannot be present in another thought. Right? Like a pot thought, pot consciousness, pot cognition, pot is present. But then now, chair cognition, chair thought, pot is not present. So if Brahman basically, Brahman, if it is an object of thought, it cannot be present in every thought. But what is present in every thought is the consciousness. That is Brahman. And therefore the consciousness or Brahman cannot be an object of a thought. Please understand this. Cannot be an object of a thought. Pan, which is an object of a thought, is not present in a chair thought. It is so therefore Brahman, the consciousness which is present in every thought, cannot be an object of a thought. Could you follow now? Brahman cannot be. I hope you understand it. And non-understanding of this fact is the basis for committing the mistakes for Brahman, for Brahmajnana. Brahman people want to make it an object. But people also want to know Brahman, unknown Brahman, they want to make it a known Brahman by object of the thought. The way unknown pan becomes known pan. The unknown chair becomes a known chair. Unknown Brahman becomes a known Brahman by object of the thought, which is present in every thought, even I thought, and this thought, whatever the thought, present in the mind, ahankara, and this thought, the knower and the known. In all the thoughts, invariable presence, because of which the thought is illumined, because of which the thought exists. Any thought, I thought exists. Well, how do you know I thought exists? Pervaded by consciousness. How do you know this thought exists? What thought, etc. exists? Pervaded by consciousness. So anyway, point is, it cannot be an object of a thought. If one doesn't understand this fact, then they are going to commit a mistake. And Vidyaranya is going to address that mistake in the chapter 9 of the Pancadasi, and what they should do ultimately. Because even if I say like this, I am sure you and me will commit a mistake again of objectifying the Brahman. And in fact, you are the very one because of which all the objects are, all the objects of thoughts are known, because of you, the consciousness alone, but still you want to objectify the consciousness of Brahman. And why this is happening again and again, that has been addressed in chapter 9. Why? After 15 years, Swamiji, I still objectify. And I need not objectify a very consciousness which is in the form of I, which cannot be objectified, which is subject, which is never available for objectification, is the only thing that is I. That I is consciousness. I can understand that I am conscious of, I am conscious of, I am conscious of, I am conscious of, I am conscious of. I and consciousness cannot be separated. That I is the subject which is not available for objectification. Still, when I want to know Brahman, I want to make it the object of the thought. Why I am doing? Vidyaranya addresses it and says, do this. He is going to narrate in so many verses what such a person should do. Yeah. There are two things are there. One is, you should basically do, contemplation of the self, contemplation on the self. But when you know I am Brahman, then you will, definitely there is an error now of taking the body as the self, and therefore in order to avoid that, to make myself free from such an orientation, I should do Nididhyasana. That's a one thing. But I am objectifying Brahman. I am Brahman if I know, and still I do the error because of the orientation, because of the past lives in which I have said this body as I. That's a different thing. But he is addressing another issue, that even though you know I am Brahman, yet you are still objectifying Brahman. You are the one who objectifies. that I is left and you want to objectify the Brahman, then it's a different mistake. If it is a different mistake, the solution must be different, and it is different. Nididhyasanam is not a solution. That's how I said this topic is not discussed anywhere. Two types of students are there. One who they know, I am consciousness, clear. But yes, there is a Dehatma Buddhi. As I get up from the class, I take the body as a self. Well, that's an error. That's a mistake. Well, what is the solution? Well, Nididhyas, contemplation. Well, you have to unwind this habit. Actually, habitual error, actually. It's error. It's not simple habit. It's an error. Habitual error, we call. That's a contemplation. But even though our people, the teachers keep on repeating and showing that yes, what is present in every cognition is this consciousness, that is I, and that is how objects are illumined, objects are sustained. The very thought, the object of the thought, everything is sustained by the consciousness. That consciousness is you, and therefore you should not objectify yourself. You cannot objectify yourself. Even though several times have been told, but still I am not able to appreciate it at all, then this is a different issue. It's a different issue. I keep on doing objectifying. That's a different issue. The cause and the solution, etc., have been shown in this chapter. This is just an introduction, and few more things I have to say regarding this Brahmajnanam. I will tell you in the next class. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.